Scam of modern day life, which I'm going to talk about today, it ranges from a lot of things. This is just observations from me as a child, and then fast forward to now as someone who has a job. I'm already graduated from high school. I graduated early from a military school. But when you're literally just born, you're immediately inundated with numerous vaccines, okay? And I'm not going to sit here and go into a huge debate with you guys, but it is proven that these vaccines have heavy metals, which of course are going to negatively affect your mental development, your physical development, and otherwise. Aluminum, undoubtedly, that's one that's confirmed, but there's many more, is undoubtedly terrible for the human mind and body. And these things don't get out of your body particularly easily. Once you are in school, you're quickly framed into a slave mindset because since your developmental years, when you're young, you have the ability to learn things super quickly. It's just like how it is. If you learn a language, you'll speak it the rest of your life. If you learn, core developmental skills or a sport, like if you're a grappler, you'll always be better than someone who starts later in life just because, you understand those nuanced things that can't always really be taught to somebody who started grappling once their brain has already fully developed, and this is a crucial time. And these kids have a truly special power. They're more connected to God. They have a very strong, intuition, and all the beautiful things about them are still flourishing. Their natural gifts still flourish at this age, undoubtedly, right? Like when you're young, you can visibly see what kids are naturally attracted to. And then you go through this school system, which was made perfectly to strip you of your identity and basically form you into an effective worker. If you live in America and you know the history of our educational system, John D. Rockefeller, he owned a massive oil tycoon, Standard Oil, and he wanted to produce a nation of people that are workers, just capable enough to critically think just enough to be able to get the tasks that are ahead of them done, but not actually able to think outside of the box. And they say outside of the box because symbolism is everywhere, but I'm not going to go into that today. That's a little bit different conversation. But when you're a kid, and for every single day of your life except the weekends, you spend your time in a place that you have to be legally. Once you get your freedom, you're not going to know what to do with it. And so people think you need a job, okay? The thing is that because I graduated military school, I got my diploma early, and I had all this free time. And that's when I realized how much of a slave I really am, because I had all this free time, so much time to develop things. You know what I did instead? Literally just doom scrolled, fell back into old habits immediately, did nothing productive all day. And it's like I needed that slave block. I needed something to fill that void because I don't have the ability to think for myself and do something and enjoy life. I'm not saying everyone's like that. I'm saying that the majority of people are like that. It literally, the job that I work, I've experienced, in between jobs are just vaping, scrolling. People are operating at such a low level of consciousness that it's hard to even connect with people on any level because they're just drones. They don't understand, hey, maybe there's something bigger to life than this. And that's what the school system does so effectively. And you're thinking, hey, maybe I don't want to spend 40 hours of my week, which by the way is the perfect level for enslavement, 8 hours a day. You get home, all you want to do is rest and recruit for the next day. And then the weekends you spend recovering from the week. Maybe you go to the gym after work. As soon as you get done with that, there's no time to develop yourself intellectually and to make money on the side. There is, of course, time, but it's very hard for the majority of people to do so. That's why people live paycheck to paycheck, because there's so many things vying for your attention. Like this phone right here. I spend so much time endlessly staring into it, and it makes time feel like it's just slipping through my fingers. And it messes up your perception of reality. And that's another thing I've experienced, is things not only feel less real, but you also are desensitized to everything around you, and any mental problems you have are inherently made significantly worse. And it ruins your ability to form meaningful relationships. I already have trouble with that because the majority of people don't like to have conversations on deeper levels. Everything is so superficial. I'm sitting here with my coworkers, and all they can talk about is, Bush Apple and how they're going to get fucked up and all these things. And I'm just thinking to myself, there's more to life than that, man. Like, this is not, like, all it is just money, money, money. What we don't understand here is that, the system that we're under, literally, there's nothing even backing our money. 92% of it is digital. They don't really even use our tax revenue because they're just printing it off all the time. And there's not a system to believe in anymore. Young men have nothing to fight for, which is why, I hate when people say, oh, Gen Z doesn't want to work hard. Back in time, the yearly salary was the same as the cost of a house. So it was much easier. Okay, I can work an average job, you know what I mean, and support my family and kids. Good luck doing that now. Good luck. You know what I mean? Because the salaries have increased about 20% and the housing prices have increased like 500%. So now you've got a group of young men, and mainly white, which already are being, ostracized just because of our ethnicity, right? And and of course this applies to everyone, but America is a predominantly European ancestry country, and that's the country I'm specifically talking about. Although this is a global phenomenon for the most part, it's a lot worse in a lot of other countries. Like if you live in India, Bangladesh, these places are horrible. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that my situation is terrible. It's not. But it's becoming something to where the majority of people are just casually accepting slavery. They don't look around and see, hey, this is not how human life was supposed to be at all. And it's just truly disheartening because people don't spend time speaking of things that are meaningful and spending time with their family. Things have just degraded to a point where everything is like the main motivator is hedonistic pleasure and materialism. And, I'm not trying to like steal from Fight Club too much here, but I'm really under the mentality that, you're not the car you drive, you're not your khakis, as Tyler Durden would say. There's nothing that you can buy that doesn't end up owning you. The majority of people that have a lot of status and are rich, if they don't have some internal level of fulfillment, the success is not going to make them happier. It's just not how it works. No matter how you try and frame it, it's not going to make you happy. Especially if you had to give up a part of yourself to get there, which is the people that are in Hollywood or super athletes like Tom Brady or Floyd Mayweather. These guys that have had to do shady things and sell their soul for this level of success, right? So when you're looking at the world around you, it's extremely disheartening, and people will tell you, just start a business, bro. And it's one of those things where, yes, I could start a business, but I'm still serving the same evil people, and I'm still, feeding into this system that's inherently wrong and makes people miserable. I can't even stand to look out and I see people that are fat and communicate through fucking image gifs. The brains have rotted to the point where communications are so like watered down and genuinely just stupid. Like people don't articulate themselves well anymore. And the majority of people don't have any like ability to critically think on issues. They just repeat whatever they've seen on their phone. And I'm not trying to say that that's not me, because of course we're all influenced by the things that we intake. Every input is gonna cement itself in your subconscious mind. But people think that, the Matrix is just this physical thing, but it's within your own mind. These social expectations and pressures and norms that you think are absolutely necessary. Like, who gives a fuck if I wear two different socks? People will go crazy. Oh my God, you're wearing two different pairs of socks. Who gives a fuck? Okay? You know what I mean? Like, this is one of those things that truly bothers me. Oh, it needs to be this way. No, it doesn't. Nothing would change if my socks are different. There's nothing that fundamentally changes, or, the color of certain things. It doesn't matter, but people get so worked up over these things because, we're made to believe that we can only operate through certain planes of motion and only, do things these certain ways that we've been formed. But this is all just small repetitive things to make you fall into a system, to be a cog in a machine, right? To make it to that next paycheck. And people love that drug. And, the way that society has crumbled, it's not even worth it to donate 40 years of your life just for 5 to 10 years of freedom and die, which is not a natural life. You're not supposed to not only live that short, one, but two, you're not supposed to do, unfulfilling work for the rest of your life. When I look in the grocery store and I see guys that are like 75 doing like just pointless work, I'm just like, man, this is just truly horrible. This is not what a society should be, And I'm not sitting here saying I know the solutions, because I have a couple things in mind. Like, I think if you're young, I think there's a lot of things that you can do. If you have a deep desire to make change socially, I think you should try. I think even if you do it on a smaller level, like you try and make political change locally, or you come on the internet and say things, then do it. But if you don't have that urge and you're just disillusioned with society, cabin in the woods is the way to go. You know what I mean? Enjoy your life, because, dude, we literally live only one time. Enjoy your life. That's like the biggest thing to me. And you can live within the system if you can be happy within it. A lot of people are. That's why a lot of people defend it. But the majority of people aren't, but they don't see another way where they could possibly be happy, not even willing to search for it. And so it's one of those things that always, blows my mind. I'm like, you are miserable, but you're going to sit here and defend a system that continues to make you more miserable because you're addicted to the hedonistic comfort that system provides for you. And that's another thing. If you're a young dude, just do not be addicted to, be addicted to as little things as possible. Because if you're dependent on nicotine, alcohol, marijuana, energy drinks, any or all of them, which a lot of people are, you become even more content with your position within this system. And I know this is really broad. I need to elaborate more because I'm kind of speaking in like code if you're not like clued in or been noticing these things. But it's truly miserable for me to look around and see how sad people are, and to see, the way that our elites operate, and understanding, how little we matter. And where this all goes. You try and follow the power trail, and it's one of those things where it's just like, where does it all go? I just never understand. But yeah, the point of this video is that you need to find some way, either A, to make money on the side from your job to eventually break free, live somewhere, either cabin in the woods, or, you can live remotely, in some country that's cheap and just chill because you've got an online income. You can just fucking live. C, try and make some change. You can try and go into politics. You can only go so far. You mainly have to be like local things and making videos on the internet like this and joining communities. I want to make this a community. I want to make this, a brotherhood. I want to see, men of Generation Z pick up their fucking balls and stop being stupid, because the majority, I would say, I'm not going to say the majority, but there's a huge portion of Gen Z that's just completely focused on, yards, ski bars, and just getting hammered and just doing dumb shit all the time. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying you can't get lit, but like, come on, bro. There's a happy medium there. And like, it can't be all you think about. The majority of people are just genuine cattle. Like, the way that they even speak, it's just completely influenced by whatever's on their phone, whatever's on their algorithm. And it's truly disheartening, But this will be one of many videos. This one's just getting a little long. I'm not big yet, so I need to chill with the length of my videos until I find enough like-minded individuals. But regardless, thank you so much for listening. Have a blessed day.